Together. We've got some really interesting stuff to talk about as ever this morning. The point of this call, as ever, is to champion and just highlight and bring to your attention some interesting stuff going on in Cumbria. And the network exists to do that and also to support the creative and cultural sector across the county. So we've got people here from all corners of Cumbria and beyond. Someone from London, someone from Paisley or Stirling, some people that just come up from London. Um, uh, and I'm just trying to think, yeah, the good corners of Cumbria are represented on this call this morning. Um, this morning we are going to hear from a puppeteer, Seb Mayer, who is sitting there in North London, but is coming to Cumbria. Seb just told a very nice little story about when he first came to Cumbria when he was a small child. And he's got an amazing project coming to Cumbria later this spring/summer. So Seb's going to tell us about that, involving elephants. We're going to hear from Leslie Harris, who you may have met already on this call before Christmas. Leslie runs the Northwest Music Academy in Barrow, and also is the mastermind behind the Barrow Music Weekend, which took place towards the end of last year. So really keen to see how that went and reflect on the current situation in Barrow. As you probably know, the forum is shut at the moment. So, you know, what can be done in Barrow to open up some sort of new venue, perhaps. And also, Leslie, I'm going to ask you about Town of Culture bids as well, and whether that has any relevance to Barrow. I have no idea what the answer is to that question, but you might have all seen that this Town of Culture thing has been launched by the government to work in parallel, I guess, to the City of Culture project. So could that be happening in Cumbria? I don't know. And then we're going to hear from Sam Nichols. Sam is sitting there with Isaac and Sam, you've even renamed yourselves. Isaac, Sam, and Chris. Is that as we see you in the window? So has Isaac got glasses on? No. Okay, so it's Chris, Sam, and Isaac. As you look at them, they are part of a really beautiful jazz trio. They're playing in Ambleside tonight at Zeffirelli's. And just to show you how this whole networky thing works, Sam, I hope you don't mind me saying, your mum is a flautist, and she came on this call before Christmas because she runs what's it called, Flutes and Co. Yeah, which is basically a flute orchestra, and through that she had a chat with Sam rather, and that's why Sam and Chris and Isaac are here this morning, and they've got a fantastic project. Troubadours walking across Cumbria, playing music for you. So that's going to be really interesting. We're going to see a bit of Isaac, Sam, and Chris in action as well before the end of this call. So that is the plan for this morning. Also, just going to highlight what's going to go on at the big meet, which is taking place in Carlisle at Tully on the 14th of February. So we'll just touch on that before the end of the call as well. So that is the plan. Hello to Deborah. Hello to Meg, who's just joined us as well, and to Neil. Let's kick off then by saying hello to Seb Mayer. Hello, Seb.
Hello everyone. Yeah, great to see you all this morning. I've just prepared like a short talk that I could give over these 20 minutes, and I've got some slides which Iona is going to kindly play for me, which is great. So yeah, I've called this Walking Workshops, and it's basically to try and explain how I came to be touring an elephant puppet to Cumbria. So basically, and if you press next slide, please, Iona. So this is the elephant puppet in question, and I got in touch with Tom because I've got this idea for a walking workshop where I make use of my infant son, who's this little character on the back, and he's dressed as the Carthaginian general Hannibal, and then I've got a little fake marionette body, and then I'm walking an elephant puppet through the UK and then a bit of France, and the puppet is kind of enhanced by these things on the back, which are basically done in workshops. Yeah, so it's a bit of an odd project, but to just explain how I got here, I won't give you my whole life story, but if you do the next slide, please, Ona. So this is from like 15 years ago. The way I got into making puppets was I used to design these cardboard masks, and they're kind of like I was just kind of obsessed with working on nets and stuff. So I used to make these in flat version and then fold them up and make all these different animals. Next slide, please. And then in 2014, I had to go at making a business from it. So I designed these. There was actually three of them. I think I had a tiger and a jaguar and a chimpanzee. And you can see on the left how all the pieces fold up to make the thing. And then on the right, I sort of boxed it up and I had to go at doing the packaging and everything like that. And I basically got a few thousand of these made and then sold them to toy shops and festivals and stuff like that, which was all well and good. And I did enjoy it. But what I think I found was that I was absolutely obsessed with doing the design side of things. Like working out all of the patterns was just really, really stimulating to me. But then when I became a salesman, it was a completely different job where you don't really get to work on what you've made anymore because you've already sort of set it in stone, set it in cardboard. And I just had to sell them. So I decided that I would finish that off once I sold those masks, and then I got into puppet design instead. So next slide, please. So here's just some of the stuff that I did after that. On the left, this is Don Quixote, as in the Spanish knight. I sort of went to uni, and then I developed a way of making a puppet built around my body so that you can sort of turn the head while you're inside it. And I made a kid show of that, which I would tour around the place. I had another night puppet as well. So we had these like giant sword fighting, very fun puppet show. And then on the right, this is Animal Farm, which I was just a maker on that, working under a designer called Toby Ollier, which was it was really great actually. So for those kind of years, I was just working mostly as a maker on other commercial shows because there's loads of puppet stuff going on, especially in London. You know, there's actually a lot of work to go around. So we're just always making these giant puppets and having a go at it. Next slide, please. But then in 2020, COVID struck and all of the work disappeared. I had to obviously cancel my tour of my Don Quixote puppet. And I was just had nothing to do basically. So I tried to work on some other little projects at the time, but I got really into hiking because it was something that I could do, you know, cheaply. And also I could get out of London because London in lockdown was a little bit suffocating, to be honest. But I got so into hiking. I really, really loved it. I started on the South Downs Way and did a lot of that. But then I decided I would walk to my dad's house in Inverness, and I started in Worthing for some reason, which is on the coast there. So this was like I think it took me 6 weeks, and you can sort of see the route there, and you know you can see where I decided had enough of the Pennines, and then crossed over the Ribble Valley to the Lake District and came into Cumbria and stuff. And it was absolutely amazing. Had loads of time by myself. As I was saying earlier on the call, you know, it was a bit early out of lockdown, to be honest, because in London things opened a bit earlier than they did elsewhere, I think, because places had places you could sit outside and everything. But of course, you get into the countryside and the pubs just can't make enough money from having people sitting in their tiny little gardens. And you know, there were rules like you weren't allowed to use the shower blocks in campsites, so they were often closed as well. So it was actually quite isolating, but in a good way, I would say. Like it was a really nice time for me to kind of reflect on what I'd been up to artistically as well. And I decided I needed to find a way to make my work about doing walking and not just making big shows for theatre. Next slide, please. So that's when I think I was listening to a podcast and I heard a story about this giraffe on the left. So this is a painting of a real giraffe from the 1800s. And she was a gift from the Viceroy of Egypt to the King of France in 1800s, which was kind of a diplomatic gift because he wanted to invade Greece and he thought that they'd look more fondly on him if he'd sent them a giraffe. Because at the time, all of these European nobles were collecting menageries of animals that they could show off to their friends, basically. So she was sent to Marseille, and then she walked from Marseille to Paris in order to meet him because they couldn't sail her all the way around. Because I mean, you can imagine this is in the 1800s. She was sailed on a dhow where her body was below deck and her head was out at the top of the boat. So she was. I mean, it must have been an absolutely alien experience for her. Anyway, but I was sort of thinking of a way that I could make a long distance walking puppet, which obviously is a massive design challenge because it needed to be incredibly lightweight really robust against the elements and all of that. So these are kind of my original designs. Next slide, please. Oh yeah, and this is the route that she took because, and you can see why as well because I've got the topography up here. So you know, France is incredibly mountainous in the east in the Alps, and then it's got this big mountain, the Massif Central. So she had to kind of walk up the Rhone Valley and then across. Next slide, please. So this is the puppet that we eventually came up with. I did Arts Council funding for this, and you can see she's got a cardboard skin because the other thing I wanted to do was in order to make this walk a bit more purposeful, something for the public, and also so that I could not be quite as lonely and I could kind of meet people, is that her body was covered in these cardboard panels. and we could replace those. So I came with the templates for the new ones, and then along the journey we would stop in a town. We would get local people, whether it's children or sometimes groups of older people or whoever. They would paint her, and then she would walk the next segment of her journey with those paintings on her, and then she would stop and we put a new skin on. So we did that 6 times over that journey. We also did a walk in Lincolnshire from Grimsby to Skegness, and I was going to do one all along the Midlands, but it was so rainy that I had to cancel it a bit. But I did Chesterfield to Mansfield, and then a little bit in Rotherham and where else? Barnsley. Next slide, please. And here is, oh yeah, so these are just some pictures of in France. So that's us painting her in Marseille, and then we were in the school with the pink one on the bottom left. On the middle one, that was in Avignon, where we tried to paint her like stained glass windows to reflect that the town was, and kids all did their favorite animals on it. Blue like the river on the right. And we met real giraffes, you can see in the background there, which was an absolutely surreal experience. I didn't know that they were going to be there really. They're just in like this open zoo in the park, and it was absolutely crazy actually because you're like I've been puppeteering for days and days and days by then, weeks, but when you're doing it for people, it's very different. But you do it to a giraffe, and then they were all just looking at me over the hedge, just like, what is this thing? And you really feel like you can't let it drop at that point because it feels like it could be cruel to them if they were to kind of work out the conceit of it, even though she is blue. But it was absolutely crazy. So I was just walking up and down the edge of their enclosure, and they were following me and just staring and sort of sniffing the air, and probably not getting the odor that they were expecting. Anyway, that's a bit of a tangent, but let's go to the next slide. Can't remember what comes next. Oh yeah, so we made it, and so this is in Paris when we finally made it. So that was a 10-week walk. Next slide, please. Oh yeah, and then I had like a journalist I remember at the end was asking me what I want to do next, and I kind of in a I was kind of being a bit flippant about it. I was like, well, what about Hannibal who took the elephants over the Alps? So this is the true story that some of you probably know, where in the Roman times, or I think 200 BC, Hannibal was a general from North Africa, from Carthage there, and he wanted to invade Rome. So he took his army, he went to Spain and spent ages around there, Cartagena. And then he walked this huge army of elephants up through France, over the Alps, famously, into Italy, and then caused havoc for the Romans. And it's particularly the Alpine bit of this that I think has kind of captured the imagination of people since. But it's just kind of stands for kind of doing the impossible, trying to take these African gigantic animals over the Alps. And he did it in October, I think, when it was snowing. So this is just a painting someone's done, but you can imagine how perilous that was. Next slide, please. Oh yeah, so I said it flippantly, but then it suddenly seemed like more and more of a good idea. But I also had a child in 2024, so he's 1.5 now. And I'm trying to work out a way to kind of include him as well. So I've had this idea for this elephant puppet. So it's kind of a half-sized one, which makes it a bit easier to tackle these kind of alpine ranges. And you can see on the right where I fit into this. So it's actually much smaller than the giraffe. It's only half size. I'm actually walking, and it's just him on my shoulders, and then it's essentially just elaborate decoration for that. And I don't think, I mean, I'm obviously not going to take on Spain all the way through to Rome. I think that would be just impossible, basically, given that I've got a child and I need, he can't do that. So I think I'm just going to do a very small portion of the Alpine walk, just like 1 week in the Alps. And then I'm also want to do these workshops all over England where we take the puppet along. I'm making use of my die cutting experience from back in the day with those animal masks. So I can design an elephant mask which works flat pack, get them mass produced, so that it's kind of more about the workshop element, this puppet. So I come to the workshop with the puppet. The kids get to draw their portrait as they do on primary school tea towels, and that ends up on the coat of the elephant, this sort of Technicolor coat. And that kind of, for me, sort of represents the army that's traveling with Hannibal. And then each one of these families would get also a ready-made die-cut animal elephant mask, which could be folded up and used as, and then they can decorate that as well. And it's just, yeah, so I've basically just finished an Arts Council application for this, which I'm waiting back to hear about. Actually, can you press next slide, please? I might even say the date. Oh no, yeah, here's a very quickly made representation of what it might look like when all of the different families have their own elephant mask and a little helmet for their child. And then the idea is that we would do these workshops, and then we would perhaps travel to a local upland area. So I know you guys have loads of those in Cumbria, where we could do a short walk, just to kind of get some cool pictures for the people who are doing it, and just the idea of kind of transforming this familiar landscape into something quite extraordinary with all of these elephants, like an army. But yeah, so I'm waiting for a decision, which I'm hearing back on the 6th of April. If you do the next slide, please. Yeah, this map's actually outdated. So I got in touch with Tom because I was looking for partners. Barrow Full in Barrow Inverness are going to be one partner. I've got one called B Arts in Stoke-on-Trent, and then since I've sent you this slideshow, actually the Slaithwaite partner, which are called Shebang, which is a special needs charity, are going to get involved as well. So I'm actually if I do get the money, I'm actually already have my 3 slots filled that I'm going to be doing. So I don't actually have any more space for more partners at this stage, unless they could pay me for my travel and facilitation and stuff like that, because the Arts Council money only stretches so far. But I just thought anyway, it's great to just have your ears for a minute just to tell you what's happening, because also, as you can tell, I'm absolutely obsessed with doing this kind of work, and I do have loads of ideas of other projects that I want to do once I have maybe once my child's a little bit older, so that I can bear leaving him for a couple of weeks at a time or whatever. Um, but yeah, that's basically all I want to say to you today. But I'm happy to, if anyone's got any questions, maybe. How long did I have, Tom?
I think we've got another 5 or 10 minutes if we need it, Seb.
Another 5 or 10.
I'm
Okay, cool.
I'm interested to know. So, how have you? What's made you choose Cumbria?
Why Cumbria? Well, I think it's one of those places, isn't it, that just has such a draw. It's just so geologically interesting. The people are lovely, the times that I've been there. I think there's something about it being really distant as well in terms of the UK, the English geography. I always find like when I've ever been there, you kind of like driving through England for ages and it all looks quite similar. And then you get to Cumbria and it's like there's proper mountains and stuff. It's just absolutely stunning, isn't it? And then it's not just that, it's also that so when I did those giraffe walks, I was specifically targeting areas that the Arts Council listed as priority place because it's good to go to these places. But I just found it really stimulating artistically because you can imagine, like with this giraffe puppet, because I've done quite a bit in London as well, just because I've tested her out here. And in a place like London, where everyone's attention is so saturated in um, stuff going on, people often don't even look. It's actually crazy. You can walk past someone in a 3.5 meter giraffe puppet, and then they won't even look at you. They won't even, their eyes won't even go there because their attention is so strained by everything else. Whereas you go to places like, so as I said, I did Grimsby to Skegness, and it just felt like the impact of people serendipitously running into a giant puppet was much greater. Loads more people were just interested in it. It just made for a much more fun time for me as well because people were engaging, and it just felt like it was more useful, much more useful than it would have been to have done that project in, London or Manchester or like these big cities, or even like where, I'm from Oxfordshire, but I just don't think it would have as big of an impact there where people are, the closer you get to London, I think we're just a bit more saturated in this kind of stuff going on.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
so the Lake District, I looked at a map of the priority places and I saw that it's Copeland and Barrow and Furness, I think, which are both priority
That's
places.
right.
And I've never been to the sort of coastal part. I know it's obviously less hilly, more plains and stuff, but
It's a good example, though, Seb, of someone strategically thinking, right, if I'm going to try and get some Arts Council funding, where is the
yes,
Arts Council interested in at the moment? And it's
that's
good to
it.
know that you've hooked up with Barrowful. We've got, there's people here from Barrow on the call, and Barrowful looks like a good organisation to me. And what's the relationship with Barrowful that you're going to foment?
So in Barrowful, we're going to do 2 workshops in May half term, and then a third day, which is going to be like a walk I don't think it is going to be in uplands actually, because as I'm sure you all know, it's on the end of that peninsula. But I think we're just going to go to. I want it to be very accessible for people to
Yeah.
get to. Ideally, somewhere that they can go and if they don't have a car, because I'm trying to make sure this is as accessible as possible. But yeah, so we'll do 2 days of workshops, two workshops on each day, and then after each workshop, we'll do a procession around the town itself. So it's just to kind of like bring loads of color and life to the city centre, town centre.
They are the most beautiful puppets. And saying in chat there, wow, these are amazing. Derek says, my mind is duly blown by these amazing projects and
Thank you guys.
puppets.
I do appreciate it.
Um, they are totally beautiful. If anyone's got any questions, by the way, for Seb, now is the time to raise your hand, either electronically or physically, and we'll put those questions to Seb. Anne asks, what's in the rucksack?
Of what, the giraffe rucksack?
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah, that was I mean that was a really hard plan because it was completely unsupported. Like I had my partner came with me for a portion of it where she could carry extra food and stuff. But it was a real shoestring project that. So I had well, I mean the puppet itself, I invested all the money in making the puppet really good and it had carbon fiber and stuff. So the puppet itself was super expensive. But the actual walk had to be done so cheaply. So I had to carry a tent, a sleeping bag, a tent for the giraffe, and also she had like a plastic wrap to go around her. Cooking equipment so that I could buy food from supermarkets and cook noodles and stuff like that. And then just very minimal amounts of clothes and personal products. It just
Yeah,
didn't have,
well, having walked from Worthing to Inverness, you're clearly a resilient and
yeah.
you don't need much to keep going, Seb. It's sort of what I'm trying to say by the sound of things,
No,
based
well,
on your
there's these
experience.
amazing communities online. There's this Reddit community called Ultralight, which was incredibly useful because in America they take this incredibly far, where there's like people who will walk all the way from the Mexican border to the Canadian border with like 1 kilogram of stuff on their back, that is absolutely obscene. Which means they're sleeping under a tarpaulin. They have one pair of clothes that they're wearing, and then maybe they've got a sleeping bag as well, basically. But it was really useful just to engage with that and try and think about what is the minimum you can take because and I'd be well interested in chatting to you guys, Chris, Sam, and
I'm
Isaac
looking at
about
Isaac, Sam, and Chris, who are going to do their
because
walk with their drum kits on their back,
yeah, what
and
what
trombones
instruments
and whatever.
are you taking? I mean, like because this is the thing with what because when you do it on your own, it's all well and good if all you need to take is your own personal stuff. But adding the giraffe, she only weighed 9 kilograms, which is not loads for a gigantic 3.5 meter puppet, but it is 9 kilograms, which is more than I would be taking anyway. So I had to reduce the rest of the pack down so much in order to make it comfortable for me. And frankly, it wasn't. I had like it was really heavy. I had to cover about 20 kilometers a day. And also the other thing I didn't really take into account is the wind, because of course you're carrying like a sail essentially. And that's partly why she was made with all of these gaps in her, so that the wind would kind of pass through it. But in France, they have this particularly famous wind called the Mistral, which channels down the Rhone corridor, and it's caused by the hot air in the Mediterranean sort of sucking in all of the cold air from Europe, from Northern Europe. And I was basically walking headlong into that for maybe 5 weeks with a giraffe on my back. And it was at some days it was basically impossible to go
Well,
anywhere
rest
because
assured, we have wind and rain in Cumbria. That's
yeah,
for sure.
exactly.
I'm worried about your
Exactly.
cardboard already, but I'm sure you've got a plan.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll
But they
see.
are the most beautiful. I'm just think Chris Dennett is a puppet maker as well. Chris is based in
Oh yeah.
Ulverston. Chris, what do you think?
Oh, these are awesome. Yeah, I mean, I don't make puppets really. We make
You do
static
do about a
lanterns
thousand.
that are giant things. But yeah, I'd
Wow.
love to make them lantern puppets. It was a be a good idea. But we incorporate wheels on ours, so we don't have to carry it all on our backs. But
Yes.
yeah, we're just going around Ulverston, which is I don't know how far it is, but less than a mile. So yeah, I'm in awe of carrying it that far.
Do you get
Well, it was
blisters? Do you get blisters,
um
special blisters on your shoulders?
yes, the blisters on my shoulders. My hand, my hand was the main thing. For some reason, I just started swelling up from the tendons here. But I actually have a theory about that, which is that it wasn't it wasn't helped by the fact that I was walking 1,000 kilometers with a giraffe, But I think it was actually caused because before the project, there was just an intense amount of planning that had to be done on a laptop, like route planning and communicating with schools and stuff. And I had like a, whatever. And I had to do that so obsessively because it was one of those things where the Arts Council money only came in a bit late, and I had to kind of do it really quickly. So I was just working night and day on the laptop like that. And then sometimes I would be in bed, and when you type like with your wrists bent at a right angle because you just want to get a bit more emails in. And I think it was actually that caused me to have some sort of tendon problem, and then it got exacerbated by the fact that I was just never putting it under rest. So I actually blame the laptop work, and I think that's much more dangerous than walking a giraffe over France.
So you're sorted with Barrow. Copeland, that's under negotiation at the moment. Is that what you said?
Well, yeah, I've been speaking to Amy, everyone here, which
Yeah.
which um, which is lovely, but it's just that I only have 3 spaces to do this with the Arts Council
Okay.
money that I've asked for. Um, so I don't think I'll be able to do another engagement like
Okay.
that. It might be that I could do something though, because while we're up there, um, it might be nice that I could kind of visit if there's like a session that's already existing, and it's just a case of like coming to see people and telling about the puppet, and just that sort of thing might be possible. So I'm
Yeah, yeah. They're
still
just
gonna
such
keep
they're
chatting.
such beautiful things that will inspire people of all ages to think what's possible to do in life, frankly.
Thank you.
So we need to get you as much exposure as possible. So when you're in Cumbria doing the session, Seb, please get back in touch,
Yeah,
and
well,
we'll hook up with you again, and we'll see you hopefully in the flesh, as it were, or in the cardboard
yeah,
with your giraffe, with your elephants, in all
absolutely.
their glory, because they look absolutely beautiful. As Derek says, if the Arts Council fails to fund you, it should be abolished forthwith. Good use of forthwith there, Derek.
Thanks,
Monix
Derek. If
worry,
you
do they
send if you could send that
disintegrate?
in an email, that'd be great. Thank you.
Do they disintegrate when it rains?
Yeah.
Okay, Chris. Because so large umbrellas needed as well. And Kate's just asking, when is it again?
When is it? The elephant thing, I'm going to do May half term, which is something like it's the week around the 26th of May, I think. And
Okay.
then I'm going to do one of the other ones, possibly the Stoke-on-Trent one in
We don't
June.
care about Stoke-on-Trent.
No, you
We
don't
just
care
care
about
about
that.
Cumbria.
Yeah, it'll be
So
Cumbria in
May
May.
half term.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. It's fascinating. Well, look, it's great to meet you, Seb, and it's a great project, and I love the fact that you are obsessed by it.
Well,
And
you kind of have to be, I think.
we will embrace you. I'm sure you need to think about somewhere to stay, and you could find a haystack or whatever to sleep under, but you've got a small child with you, so probably that's not good enough these days.
Yeah,
So
it makes it harder. Yeah.
yeah, reach out for support though, because there's a great community of people that are loving this kind of work in Cumbria. So do look out for support and reach out for support if you come
Fantastic.
a crop or whatever. So thank you for coming on this morning as well and telling us
Yeah,
all
thank
about it.
you. And,
Beautiful
and I'm sure
gardens.
I'll also be back in touch when I do have another project in a couple of years' time, which
Yeah.
enables me to do a bit more stuff. But yeah,
All
thank
fingers
you for
crossed for the Arts
listening.
Council application as well.
Thank you very much. I've got another meeting in a minute, so I'm going to have to drop out, unfortunately. Although I really want to say, what's the name of the band? Because I'll read about what you guys are.
EMRYS, EMRYS.
RYS, great. I'll
Yeah.
look you guys up because that sounds fascinating. All right, thanks so
Okay.
much, everyone. I've better go now.
Cheers, Seb. Bye. There goes Seb. Extraordinary, good stuff. And as Meg says, come and say hello at Art Gene, absolutely, when Seb's in Barrow. Right, well, let's move from speaking of Barrow. Before we hear from Isaac, Sam, and Chris and their walk across Cumbria, everyone's walking across Cumbria. Let's switch to the Northwest Music Academy, where Leslie is parked up in one of the beautiful performance rooms there. Is that just describe where you are, Leslie, at the moment?
So we're on Ramsden Square in Barrow. I'm in the performance hall of Northwest Music Academy, which is a 65 capacity space, quite flexible. We've got a beautiful grand piano. We've got cabaret style seating or rows if needed. Yeah, that's where I am.
Okay, and you are the director of the Northwest Music Academy. Have I got that title correct?
Yeah, I'm one of the directors.
And
There's
I see
four.
Deborah's on the call as well. Hello, Deborah again. Deborah is one of the other co-directors, is that right?
That's right. Yeah.
And I met both Deborah and Leslie when I went to record some material for a podcast episode back in October, I think it was, of last year. And you may or may not know that an amazing thing called the Barrow Music Weekender takes place regularly now. And this is just a chance to reflect on a project like that, which Leslie and Deborah were very much pulling together, trying to coordinate, trying to look into the crystal ball as well about where the music scene in Barrow could go into the future. So I just thought it'd be great to get you back on, Leslie, and talk about that. But before we talk to you, should we just get a snippet? I know a half-hour documentary was made by John, whose surname I've forgotten, who I also met when I was there. I just thought we got the first four or 5 minutes of that documentary just to give people a flavour of what the Weekender was about. Is that all right?
Yeah.
Great. Okay, so here's John, and just sit back and enjoy this. You get a flavour of the Barrow Music Weekender.
Welcome to Barrow Music Weekend, Barrow's one and only music performance and education festival.
Let me sit down here. Oh, hey, Barrow. Let me sit down here.
Today is Thursday, the 9th of October, the opening day of Barrow Music Weekend 2025, and I am in Barrow Music Weekend headquarters, aka the Barrow Town Hall, in front of the amazing light organ, the centrepiece of this year's festival. I'm joined with Leslie Harris of the Northwest Music Academy and one of the organisers of the Barrow Music Weekend. Leslie, how do you feel about the Barrow Music Weekend coming up this week?
Oh, it's very exciting. I mean, it's been a busy few weeks just getting prepared for it. Obviously, we've got lots of things happening, like the light organ.
Tell us about the light organ.
Yeah, so
this
is what's behind us now. So it's this sound art installation which reacts to sound, and instead of amplifying the sound, it reproduces light.
Whoop! Whoop! Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. We've just had a lot of the kids come in playing with it, absolutely mesmerised by it. Tell us about how does every Barrow Music Weekend open?
Every weekend in the past 5 years has opened with a primary school singing festival, where the local primary schools prepare their own song set. And also we have a Barrow Music Week anthem, which this year is Freed from Desire.
What should we expect from this year's festival? What kind of things are going on?
So we've got a lot more things happening this year. A lot of the music groups, amateur dramatic groups, choirs from around the town are taking part on Saturday. We've got a musical instrument trail, we've got DJs in Coffee Dash, which is something new for this year. We've got the return of musical Ruth, who is a nun driving around on a motorised machine. And so that's going to be really good fun.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Summer. Happy birthday to you. Summer? Can she talk? 15? You 15? Hello. Hello. Party at mine tonight. She can't come. It's room 27 at the Travel Lodge. I'll see you there, yeah? I'll see you there. Okay. Come on, here we go.
Okay, there goes musical Ruth, and steals the show, steals the call. What a great variety of stuff! And I was there, and I saw that lovely kind of light organ as well. It's a fantastic thing to see. So what's the point of the Barrow Music Weekend? Barrow Music Weekend, and obviously the weekend at the end of it. But Leslie, what's it all about?
So the whole event is centred around a young people's music education conference. So helping young people think about different career and leisure pathways in music. And then around that, we build lots of live music events for all of the community, from, the little kids that you saw singing the anthem right through to older people. So that's basically what it's all about.
And how did it go?
Really well this year, actually. Got a lot more organisations involved for 2025. The town was a lot busier. Obviously, things take a long time to build up over the years. So, yeah, we were really pleased with it.
And is it a group of people that pulls it together? Was it you sort of telling everyone what to do? Was it democratic, or how's it all work?
So over the last 5 years, inspired by Damien Morgan, who's actually on the Manchester Music Commission, who's kind of supported us all through our development, and we've established the Barrow Music Commission, which is all the different music organisations across town, and we come together and we put on all the different things that are part of Barrow Music Week.
Is it well supported?
Yeah, it's growing, definitely growing. I think it's communicating to people what it actually is. So in 2025, we did establish the strapline that it's a music education and performance festival, because I think sometimes people don't fully understand what things are. If you just say Barrow Music Weekender, not everybody gets it immediately.
And absolutely, with all art stuff, and sometimes I think we get wrapped up in trying to be overcomplicated in how we describe what things are quite often as well. The health, when I was there recording bits with you and other people as well for the podcast, I got a sort of flavour of what's going on and what the health of it is, health of the live music scene in Barrow is, particularly from young people actually. Going to Barrow Underground Music Society Bums was really interesting to talk to them about what they do in their venue as well. What's the health like of the live music scene in Barrow? Because I sense a sort of a range of different perspectives to answer that question.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty strong. We haven't got as many live music venues as there used to be. But I mean, the kids are all getting involved in stuff, starting their own bands. We've got the Liverpool Film Orchestra resident in Barrow for the next few years. We've obviously got Fuller Noises, the national portfolio organisation, who are in Barrow. We've got Sea House Records. We've obviously got us, Northwest Music Academy, including South Lakes Rock School. We've got the MIST programme at Furness Academy. So that's the Andrew Lloyd Webber Music in Secondary Schools Trust programme, where every kid in year 7 gets an instrument. So yeah, I think it's pretty healthy.
And is there big support from the Dockyard and from BAE Systems with all this money coming in for, Barrow Futures?
Yeah, I mean, BAE have been probably our biggest sponsors for Barrow Music Weekender right across, the last 5 years. So we've had support from the council, Barrow Town Council, West Midland and Furness Council, Barrow Full for giving us some support, Barrow Bid.
Yeah. And what just on the question of the forum probably not reopening because of the asbestos that was found there. Where are we at as far as a venue? I mean, the town hall is a nice place, but it has a limited capacity. I know you've done amazing things with that space. What's the current thinking about possibly a new venue in Barrow?
Well, we don't really know the current thinking. I mean, my personal idea, which I'm telling everybody about, so I might as well say it again, is that we use the Barrow Town Hall as a facade for an amazing new venue that we could build on the car park behind it. maybe 3 times the size of the Forum, because I think that would have an immediate like economic effect on the town. Once you've got a venue, you know, bars open, restaurants open, cafes, shops, I think it would be brilliant for regeneration of the town centre.
Right. So is that a pipe dream or is that a possibility, do you think?
That's my dream. So we've had Wayne Hemingway actually helping the Barrow Rising project with kind of designing the infrastructure of things. So I've sent him a little picture.
Go for it. And what about this whole town of culture? Is Barrow going to bid for that?
Absolutely, yes.
Who's going to do that?
Well, we've already started talking about it as a group. I mean, we had a meeting of the Barrow Music Commission just this week, and it was one of the things we discussed. It's been discussed at West Midland and Furness Council level.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a great story to tell about Barrow, not just in shipbuilding and engineering, but, you know, we used to have an orchestra in the 1800s. We had massive choral society. So, you know, there's lots of stories to tell.
Yeah.
What they want the story of your town.
What's the deadline for that?
End of March.
All right. So you've got to get your skates on. Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, that'd be fantastic. You know, wouldn't it be amazing to have the town of culture here in Cumbria? We've got plenty of towns, some excellent towns. And Barrow is one of those. So, well, good luck with that. Well, thank you for sharing your reflections on how is it all planned for next year? Is it October again? This year.
Yeah, 9th to the 11th of October. So again, I think what we learned from this year was if you go and ask people to take part, like all the different organisations, if you actually approach people and say, do you want to get involved? Amazingly, they've always wanted to be involved, but maybe they didn't know how to. So I think just going out and asking people and, you know, taking the music out into the community is the way forward. So yeah, that's the plan for this year.
Great. Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much, Leslie. And I'm going to move seamlessly to EMRYS now, who are playing at the Northwest Music Academy at some stage in the near future, I think. Hello, Isaac, Sam, and Chris, or Chris, Sam, and Isaac, as I'm looking at you. How are you all?
Good, thank you. Yeah, great. It's great to be. It's great to see all the exciting things that are going on. It's very inspiring to see Seb talk about all the puppets as well. I think it's put our project into perspective, maybe.
Well, so first of all, tell us a bit about what your project is, because I think your project is full of gorgeous ambition as well. Tell us what you're going to do.
Well, the project is a walking and music tour across the Lake District. I grew up in Kendal myself, and I've just finished studying at Conservatoire, studying jazz in London for the last 4 years.
You're a drummer, aren't you, Sam?
I'm a drummer, yeah, drummer and percussionist. And as I came to the end of my time studying, I was thinking a bit more about what I wanted to do in this next stage of life. And I happened to be reading this Simon Armitage book called Walking Home, where he walks the Pennine Way from Kirkyet home down to Marsden, to his hometown. And he stops up every evening and does a poetry reading in a local town to see if he can still pay his way as a poet, since he became the poet laureate. So I thought, it'd be an interesting thing to do with music. And since moving away to London, I think I also got a new appreciation for the Lake District and for the mountains. So we decided to sort of conceive this idea to walk across the mountains and play a concert at the end of each evening. And it's sort of grown since then and become this walking and music tour for the Lake District. Yeah.
And do you have a portable drum kit, Sam? I'm worried about your rucksack size.
No, I don't have a portable drum kit. We weren't quite sure how many of our instruments we were going to carry. We got some very willing friends who were keen to drive things, but I think since hearing Seb speak about walking with a puppet all that distance, I think maybe at least I need to carry my cymbals across the mountains.
And Isaac and Chris, what do you play?
I'm a pianist. I play the double bass.
Okay, so 2 small instruments there as well.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the double bass floats, so we could always,
that's true,
hop on and just go down the waterways or something.
It's like a raft, isn't it? Basically, a giant raft.
Yeah.
And what about the venues that you're going to play in will have to have a piano in them, right?
Yes. So the first 4 venues are all churches, actually. Penrith Methodist Church, and then Keswick St John's Church, Cockermouth United Reformed Church, and then actually, the the next venue after that is Grassmere Village Hall, but they've all got pianos in, and so does Leslie's lovely hall behind her as well. It's got a lovely grand piano in. So it's also been figuring out what venues have the equipment that we need, and then trying to tie a fairly linear walking route in between all those places, so we can have a nice narrative to the walking aspect of it as well, I suppose.
Absolutely. Right, well, let's just see a little bit of you in action, not on the fells, under the rain clouds. I think Iona has managed to find a bit on your website that we're just going to share. This is called Scent Sense. Do a gentle fade there. I don't know if that's possible on YouTube.
Not very gentle.
What beautiful stuff! What beautiful stuff! I was and sort of jazzy photography style as well with the bright lights. Was that a recent recording? Was that this year? Was that last year?
We did that in the summer actually, and we've been playing together for I guess just over a year now. As part,
did you all meet at the Did you all meet together at college?
So Chris and I were studying together at Trinity Conservatoire of Music in Greenwich, and Isaac was over the river at Guildhall, and we just sort of met on the London scene, I suppose, and came together to play music that we've all written, and I think I knew Isaac and your playing quite well, and Chris and I played together a lot, and I just thought that we might work well together, the three of us as a trio, and the sound of each of what we're interested in.
So have you all now graduated from college and you're now trying to forge and make a living out of your music?
I'm still in my last year at Trinity.
Okay.
But yeah, both of you have graduated.
We've graduated now in the big wide world.
And how are you finding it?
It's great. It's good fun. It's a challenge, but it's enjoyable. I think we both feel very fortunate to be able to have the opportunity to do this for the thing that we kind of spend our time doing. Mm-hmm. And it feels like we're at the beginning of something, which is exciting as well. So yeah, it's great.
Why the Welsh name? Asks Chris.
The Welsh name. I think I came up with the name.
Were you reading a book?
Well, I was always really fascinated as a child and inspired by the like mythical figure of Merlin and EMRYS and the stories around that, and the stories of like of destiny and of like coming of age and kind of I guess like the narrative of life and like life's work and so that name kind of like came into my head as something that I was liked what it was all about, and then we were sort of looking for a name as a trio, and it felt like something that fitted in some ways with the music that we're making and the way we were trying to sort of go about it slowly and just take care of the music and its own life, I guess. Yeah.
And Andrew Deacon, who knows his music, says, I had a deep dive into their music last night. Great stuff and lovely development of the European jazz tradition, including some great title word play. Good luck.
Thank you, Andrew.
Appreciate it. Andrew Deacon is sitting there with a bunch of jazz records behind his very shoulders.
Yeah, we're very impressed.
Of different traditions, no doubt.
Yeah, we're very impressed.
And Leslie's saying looking forward to the Barrow gig. Someone else saying looking forward to the Penrith gig. Jonathan talking about the Ulverston International Music Festival, trying to include outdoor performances at Brantwood in particular. Tell us a bit more about this actual itinerary that you're going to do, Sam. What are you worried about anything?
A few things. We went for a walk yesterday. It was the first time. It was a very short walk yesterday, but it's sort of the first time we've been out all together. And it was pretty wet. I think one of the worries is just getting to the end of each day's walk and sort of like managing to get to the concert in time and to set up. And we're also going to be recording all the concerts as well. Our friend Sam, who recorded that live videos, is going to come and record all the concerts. We're going to make a debut album from our favourite bits of the concert. So I think getting to each venue on time and dry enough to sort of play a concert and find some food from somewhere before we play, and I guess it's those sort of things which, and
remembering the notes to play is kind of would be my worry, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I think we've had a nice pace to the development for me anyway of the trio, and I think we learn when we each bring a piece of music to the trio, we'd take time to learn it by ear, and it sort of slowly changes the way we play it over time. So it feels like we all know the music quite well and have an intimate relationship and a collective relationship as well. And I think that was one of the reasons to do the tour is to also walk over this incredible landscape and naturally be inspired by it, but see how the music changes after each day's walk and spending time together in the mountains and to see how the music develops. So
yeah,
I think that's one thing almost that will be like the slightly easier part of the tour, perhaps, is
ground us.
Yeah, it's just like being able to sit down and play at the end of the day once we've hopefully made it on time.
Yeah.
Okay, and I don't know where Isaac and Chris are from, but Sam, I'm assuming you've done a bit of fell walking in your time before because you're from this part of the world. Yeah. Isaac and Chris, have you done a bit of walking before?
Some. I mean, I grew up in York, so we weren't far from the moors and the dales. So
okay, you get away with it. How about you, Isaac? Chris?
I'm from Warwickshire, which is quite flat. So I don't have much experience. But I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, we need to find some size 13 walking boots for Chris. He's a tall fella.
I think I need to do some training as well.
Yeah, we might do a bit of training as well.
Yeah.
There's a guy called Richard Durrant, who some of us might know on the call, who does cycle trips, and he plays guitars, and he drags them on a trailer behind him on his bike, and he cycles all over the UK doing these tours. And he sort of incorporates his trailer and his bikes into his set on stage. So I don't know how you're going to do your sets, and no doubt there'll be a sort of vertical learning curve for how you get. But it's a brilliant idea. Just remind us. I know you're playing at Zeffirelli's in Ambleside tonight, but when does the tour begin?
The tour begins on the 16th of April at Penrith Methodist Church, and also all the days' walks are open to anyone to join us. So we've just launched our website, and when all the dates are confirmed, they'll also be uploaded each day's walking route.
Okay.
And there'll be a start time and a finish time and all the locations for that. So anyone's welcome to join us for each of the days walk. We'd also just love to meet people from the local area, such as yourselves, and have you along with us for the walking. And
that's great. Well, Kate's just put in the itinerary into chat, and I'm assuming that your website, which is emrys.co.uk or something like that,
emrysmusic.com.
emrysmusic.com. So I'm assuming the information will be on there as well. Pete just asks quickly, do you think the up and down walking will influence future tunes?
Maybe. Yeah,
I think the answer is yes.
I think so. Yeah, in ways that we can't quantify, maybe.
Yeah,
exactly. The early days.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. Thank you, Isaac, Sam, and Chris, for telling us all about that. Good luck with it. Have a great time this evening. And I'm looking forward to catching up with seeing how it goes in April. Lots of people, by the way, putting stuff into chat about other things going on, which we can run out of time to go through, but do have a look at the stuff going on there. Just before we finish, Kate, did you just want to mention about the big meet taking place at Tully on the 14th of February?
Indeed, the big meet is taking place at Tully on the 14th of February. This time it is about demystifying the culture sector in Cumbria. How does it work? What does it take to sort of break into the culture sector and to follow a creative pathway in this part of the world? It's free. The content is specifically designed to appeal to people aged 16 to 30-ish, but we really do encourage anybody who wants to come along and would find it interesting to join us, because it's also about networking. It's also about enabling young people to meet a range of people from across our sector. So don't feel that you cannot come if you happen not to be 30 or under. It's free. Please book. You can donate if you want to when you book. Of course, that would be welcomed. It's all part of our See It to Be It project designed to enable more young people to follow creative pathways. And just before I go, I just want to say you've got to hand it to Tom for curating an incredible session today. Very beautifully done and segueing fantastically from one piece to the next. So thank you for that.
You're very kind. You're very kind. Next week, everybody, we're going to have the Urban Sketches in Carlisle. We're going to be live from Art Gene, in fact. We're going to be in Barrow next week, so I shall be in Barrow next week. We're going to hear from one of the Pivot Advisory Group members talking about a young person's perspective on the Pivot programme. And also, Sue Allen is going to give us a lovely tribute to Gwenda Matthews, who a lot of you will know passed away quite recently. She was absolutely the heart and soul of the book culture in Cumbria, book festivals, bookshops. It's her funeral on Monday in Carlisle. So I thought it'd be lovely to hear Sue's, who was a very close friend of Gwenda's. Sue, thank you for agreeing to do that. And I'm really looking forward to seeing pictures and hearing your words next week as well. So we'll be hearing from Sue next week as well. But thank you very much to Seb, who I know has gone, to Leslie, to Sam, Chris and Isaac. Lots of exciting stuff going on. Have a great weekend, everybody. Hopefully see you again somewhere soon. Cheerio.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.